Hello everyone, I'm Beastly Eel, and in today's video we're going to be talking about the latest episode of My Adventures with Superman. So in this episode there's two parts to this story that converge at the very end. It is between Lois and Clark, and then we have Jimmy Olsen and Kara, which we'll get into. So I think the best one to go with is we'll go with um, Lois and Clark first. So Lois and Clark are ordered to be a part of the story of the greatest bachelor slash black bachelorette in Metropolis, and supposedly Superman is a finalist there. So one of their coworkers wants to be a part of it completely, stating that she knows that Superman is dating somebody because of the way he acts and everything else. So Lois is basically trying to convince Clark that he needs to be Superman, but act single because she doesn't want anyone to know that he's dating somebody, specifically her. So Superman goes there and he tries to pretend that he's single, which has its moments of being funny and stupid at the same time. Almost outs like very much like describes Lois when he talks about the perfect person and all that stuff. So we have all these questions going on. Um, Sable, who is next to him, is very much flirting with him to the point where it's like making Lois very jealous, and she's not happy with what's going on. They eventually get into a fight, and she runs off because she's realizing she might not be good enough to be with Superman because her coworker says makes a statement of the lines of nobody Superman couldn't date somebody like you because you're ordinary. You could date somebody like Clark, but not Superman, which I find very interesting because obviously the woman does not know that Clark and Superman are the same person. So we have that dynamic going on. We also get to see that the astronaut from Star Labs was also part of the group as well. However, storms off because he was not happy with the fact that there was an alien on Earth because he's very much against aliens on Earth, specifically because they cause a lot of damage to us and could potentially cause a lot of oppression as well. So let's get into Jimmy. So Jimmy then goes on a rant, looking around, trying to figure out what he's going to do in general. He then bumps into this girl who he finds very attractive, who turns out to be none other than Supergirl as we know it. However, she's just Korra. She's dressed very much like Android 18 from Dragon Ball Z, which I've seen a lot of comments about that completely, which I find hilarious. She then is given the basic tour of Metropolis and Earth's eating habits. So she's eating hot dogs, eating ice cream. She loves every second of it. She talks about how her dad didn't want her to go do things on her own, and how she never gets to do this stuff. And Jimmy the entire time is thinking like, oh, she's had really strict parents, not even registering that she may or may not be an alien, which I find to be hilarious. So because of all of this, we have them going around. He's spending a lot of money on her. We're seeing instances of her powers, however, Jimmy is not. And nobody's really registering that she could be an alien. So finally, he then explains that he knows, he's got to go show her his best friend, who happens to be Superman. Um, and she's like, "Oh my gosh, that's my cousin. That's Kal-El." And she goes to speak with him. He ignores her because he's trying to figure out what's going on with Lois, and that's when she decides to go cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, puts on her mecha suit, which is the suit we see in the last episode, at the end of the last episode, kind of floating in Earth's orbit, and starts beating up on Clark. So the two of them begin to fight. It's very one-sided, I will say. Um, Clark gets a few good punches in, destroys her suit a little bit, but not enough. Exposes that her black suit, which I find very interesting, and the two begin to fight outside of the area because he doesn't want to cause major destruction in that could cause harm to people. So they begin to fight. She is smashing him around town. He shows a new Kryptonian power, which is an energy blast from his mouth, which I think might be frost breath. We also get to see Kara using her Kryptonian technology to enhance her Kryptonian powers, using heat vision and everything else to blast Clark away. The two of them continue their fight, um, significantly so, but to the point where he actually loses, gets smashed into the ground, and that's when Cora uses the Kryptonian technology, I guess is the best way to phrase it, and creates a energy coffin and sends him off-world. Now, during their interaction, we actually hear that the AI in Cora's suit is, we're assuming, is her father, stating to kill the Kryptonian. Up until they see him use the blast from his mouth, where they want to then study him, which is where the change of the dynamic goes from killing him to capturing him. And she takes him off world where we now don't know where she's going. What I think here is happening is somehow Brainiac is controlling the AI that is supposedly her dad, and which really heavily focuses on the fact of me thinking that was when Clark uses a new power that this Kryptonian AI has never seen before, wants to study him instead of destroy him, which is one of those big things that really makes me think it's Brainiac. So I'm very curious to see where that's going to go. So I think in the next episode we're 100% going to be seeing Brainiac, but I'm very curious to seeing what that looks like. But overall, thought this episode was great. We got a Supergirl that we were not expecting, 100% so that I was not expecting the storyline whatsoever. However, they definitely kind of combine General Zod with Cora a little bit, and I like that, and seeing the dynamic of how powerful she is, and also using the Kryptonian technology to enhance their abilities to defeat their own, which I also find very interesting. I'm very curious to see where this is going to go. Like I said, this was the halfway point of the season, so who knows what we're going to get in the second half of this season. But overall, let me know what you guys thought about this episode in the comments down below. Did you like it? Did you not? And why? And as always, if you like the content you see, please make sure to like and subscribe down below. Other than that, this is going to be Beastly Eel signing out. Have a great night.